This podcast is brought to you by The Shift.
It's story time!
Hello and welcome to the Storytime Podcast, or Storytime with Clisare as it's now known. I'm Clisare. My name is Claire. I go by Clisare on the internet. And today I have with me Donal Sharpson. Hello.
I go by Disair on the internet. My name is actually Donal. That idea just came to me just right now. So.
I like it.
Thank you
it's
very
good.
much,
What's the origin story?
I heard what you said and I thought that was really interesting.
Good comeback. Would you like to introduce yourself and let everybody know where to find you on the internet?
Yes, most definitely. My name is Donal Sharpson. I'm a music producer and DJ, but you might also know me for doing the funny videos with Claire on the YouTube, on the Troy channel. You find me at Sharpson Music on everything. Resident Advisor now. Bandcamp. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that business.
Did you say resident advisor?
Yeah. It's forget it.
I've never heard of that.
Okay, boomer. When was the last time you went to a club? Jeez.
Okay, yeah. Got me good there, Bernard. Okay, and is that all you would like to plug? Any music coming out?
Absolutely. 5th of November. 4th, 5th, whatever the Friday is. On Newman Records, that's Xenia's label. I've got an acid techno EP coming out. You love acid techno, Claire.
Oh, it's my favourite.
It's your favourite. The squeakiness, the technoness, all of it all. Then I've got. I have a lot of music coming out. I release too much music. That's why nobody pays attention to me. I'm kind of like a spam bot. Like on Spotify, it's just spam.
I feel like I'm a spam bot too sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So you have a story for me today.
I do indeed. Yes, this is the tale of Fat Spiderman, and apologies if everyone else has heard about it. Because I did on my stand-up before. I didn't really do stand-up, I just told that story because I'm terrible stand-up. So I just told the story and I was like, that's great. But then Can
I just interrupt you very briefly?
Yeah.
Because you've just reminded me of something.
Uh-huh.
Didn't yourself and John, we went to watch you guys do stand-up one time and one of you totally lost your voice?
That's so weird. That happened this day yesterday, 4 years ago or something like that.
No way.
Yeah. My girlfriend sent me a video. She was like, this happened like 4 years ago. That was yesterday. John was meant to do Cherry Comedy, first ever stand-up gig.
Yeah.
And I think he went to Coppers the night before or something like that. And he actually
couldn't speak, genuinely, yeah.
I've never seen that before, except for like the little penguin in Toy Story. But I couldn't believe it. Like he actually couldn't. And when he told me, he's like, Donal, I can't talk. I was howling laughing, and I was like, well, there's your set. You have to do it. Like, just do it. And he was like, I can't, no way. So he had to ask me to translate because I was the only one who could understand him.
Yeah.
He was kind of like Old Yeller or something like that, or Lassie, I was like, what's that, Johnny? You've got a joke to tell? But yeah, he did the whole set whispering into my ear, and then I just had to relay the information, and I totally took over the show. And I smashed it.
I remember it being very, very funny, and I'm sure nobody's ever seen anything like. I know I've never seen anything like it ever since. But yeah, sorry to interrupt your story, but I just remember that when you said that. I was like, wow, that was
I think that's up on YouTube
night.
somewhere. I'm pretty sure it is.
I'd love to track it down.
I definitely have a video, like of half of it anyway, on WhatsApp, so I might upload it. Who knows?
But anyway, sorry, go on with Fat Spiderman.
Yeah, so Fat Spiderman was basically the only good joke I could tell him stand-up, and it wasn't even a joke. It's like a true story. And you know what a story is so true? Like, I was at a K-Fest there over the weekend, right? Sorry, I'm Segway man, by the way, just so you know. And
what's a K-Fest?
K-Fest is when a load of people get in a circle and they take a lot of ketamine, and then...
That's what I thought. Are you joking?
No,
that's what I thought you meant.
No, it's actually a really cultured arts festival. Okay. I can't express how, like, it's literally like poetry reading and all this stuff, but it's in Killorglin, where the Puck Fair is, so it's called K-Fest, which is the scaldiest name I've ever heard in my entire life. Not a lot of people on K either, which was surprising.
Yeah,
which was nice.
Misleading.
Yeah, a lot of horses though, so I'm sure there was a lot of horse tranquilizers. But regardless, we were at stand-up, and there's nothing worse when a stand-up goes, okay, I'm just going to tell this story. This is actually a true story. This is actually a true story. And you know when you hear that this isn't true, you just know straight away. But this is one of those cases where it was most definitely true. And Shannon Keenan can back me up on it. So basically what happened was, a few years ago, this is the tale of Fat Spiderman, by the way. Copyright, whatever, it's grand. Enter the Spider-Verse #2. It's going to be called Fat Spiderman. Marvel, Disney, hit me up, right? You're going to want this, all right? I can play Spider. Anyway, Shannon, her boyfriend just broke up with her a few years ago, right?
Okay.
A few years ago. And she was like really upset. And I was like, oh, we've known each other for a good few years. And I was like, oh, you're okay, doing all that stuff, all the niceties and whatnot, oh, you'll be fine, checking my phone for texts and all. And she was like so upset. So I was like, look, if you need anything like with work or whatever, just give me a shout, right? And the very next day, she rings me up and she's like, hey, do you know the way I do kids' parties? I was like, I have no idea you did that. She goes, yeah, I organise kids' parties and I get people to dress up, right? And the guy who was meant to do Spider-Man went on the tear last night and he can't do a communion. Can you dress up as Spider-Man for this kids' party? So I was like, oh, like I'm really busy today, all that. She's like, oh no, please, you said you'd do anything. I was like, I don't fucking dress up as Spider-Man. So I was like, okay, no problem. I was like, will you be there? She was like, no. Of course not. I delegate. That's it. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll be there. And I was like, will anyone else be there? She's like, no, it's just Spider-Man, solo Spider-Man. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So her ma dropped down a Spider-Man costume down to my house, and I didn't check it. I should have definitely 100% checked the costume before I went in. So then I was like, where is the communion? And it was in, I won't say the name of the pub, but let's just say it's a pub, first of all, which is alarm bells. Secondly, it's in a really rough part of town, right? No windows, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
In this pub, right? So I was like, what kind of communion is this? Kid must be dealing coke or whatever, right? Jesus, he's doing well for an 8-year-old. So go down to this. Sorry.
And sorry, was there any reason given as to why Spider-Man, or?
Kids love Spider-Man.
Okay,
It's
that's fair enough.
Have you not heard the Easter story? Of Christ and the Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man.
His first Holy Communion. I have no idea, but I mean, like
Well, at least there wasn't a Disney princess, I guess.
Yeah. So that would have been way worse. That would have been way worse. Or well, yeah, Fat Elsa. But yeah, so go down to this pub and it's like 1 p.m. On a Saturday, and I go in and it's just a weird scene. The pub is like empty except for these old guys, but there's also like a DJ there playing very aggressively, like trance, really, really hardcore trance. Just blaring.
Also a personal favourite of mine.
There you go, absolutely.
Love it.
Lots of it at K-Fest. And the lights everywhere. And all these guys just trying to, get their alcoholism in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just trying to drink their 1 p.m. pints. So I go up to the bartender and I'm like, here, I think I'm in the wrong place, but is there any kids here? Which is big no. Should never ask that.
Yeah,
Never
definitely
ask that
should have
question.
rephrased that one.
Absolutely.
Were you dressed as Spider-Man at this point or not yet?
No.
Oh,
I
I don't know. Is that better or is that worse though?
It gets worse. But what was even weirder, Claire, is that he goes, yeah, they're out in the alley. Like, as if, like, obviously, they're not here. Like,
I wouldn't have them in the pub.
Oh, God, no. That's illegal. So they're out in the back alley. And I was like, okay, red flags. So I peeked my head and, checked to make sure that I'm not going to get robbed or anything like that, Maybe it was like a ploy. So I see the kids and I go, right, I'm going to get changed to my Spider-Man outfit. So I go into the Jacks and I open up the outfit, and it's, first of all, it's way too small. Second of all, there's like the Velcro's like not working. So I'm putting it on. I don't have boots, don't have gloves.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I'm in literally kind of
half a Spider-Man costume then, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. And also way too small, tiny. And then so I'm changing in the bathroom stall, and I drop the mask into a big puddle of piss.
Oh no!
So I kind of have two options. I could either go out like Peter Parker or Spider-Man with the very first. You know what I mean? But I could kind of tell. I don't know why. I just had this inkling that this crowd was rough. I don't know why. I just had a feeling. So I had to put on the mask. I was like, yeah. So I go out and say hi to the lads and the DJ, dressed as Spider-Man, covered in piss, and my belly's just like sticking out, and my booties. I was wearing Converse and all.
I must say the shoes really ruined the illusion, because I remember when I was really young having a birthday party in Supermax, very Mayo thing.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
the rabbit came out. They had a guy who's dressed like a rabbit. And like, also, in retrospect, why a rabbit? Anyway, the Supermax rabbit came out and he had like these big, like normal fucking shoes on, and it really ruined the illusion.
You want the fuzzy feet.
You want the fuzzy feet,
I
100%.
agree. In my case, you want the Spider-Man booties, you know? So I go out and I just give it my all. And I'm like, yo, kids, whoa, it's me, Spider-Man. And they all like stop whatever the fuck they were doing. And they like look at me and they're like, who the fuck is this clown? Like, absolutely, like, what is going on? So the community kid, very aggressive, he goes, you're not fucking Spider-Man, you're fucking fat. Straight away. I was like, hey, kid, Mary Jane's been feeding me these tarts, but no need to fat shame, motherfucker. And then they were like, why does he have piss on his face? No, they didn't. But obviously, I had a big patch of piss on me. No, they weren't that they weren't that clued in.
Yeah, they wouldn't have known that was piss burning.
Yeah, exactly. Smell on my face.
Oh, if you water on your face. It's not water.
But literally, like, 10 seconds into it, I'm in trouble, like, already. I'm, like, running out of Spider-Man material.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I was thinking. How did you come up with stuff to say?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd. But they didn't know anything about Spider-Man, apparently.
No.
I was like, come on. Anyway, amateur hour, am I right? Casuals. So, so I'm like, yo, which one of you is the Green Goblin? And they're like, shut the fuck up. Like, they're so aggressive. And one of them, I'm not messing, runs up and hits me square in my little Spider-Man penis. I swear to God. Like, instantly, winding me. And I'm like, wow! Whoa, kid! What, the Sinister Six over here? Whoa!
He punched you in the balls.
Yeah, always straight in the penis. Yeah. It's like, you know when they got all that anger because their party's getting ruined by a guy covered in piss. And just with his little fists, it's like a density thing. I think it's like science or something. You know, the smaller the fist, the more force.
The more impact, yeah.
He could have split an atom with that punch. Let me tell you. So it was pretty winded, and couldn't breathe properly because of the piss on my face. And so I kept going, and then they all just went to a frenzy and literally just started reefing the costume off, like left, right, and center, and then started chanting like "Fat Spider-Man, Fat Spider-Man." And I was,
This is an awful
it was
story.
Terrifying, traumatic. Like, still wake up some days like, no, like I can't watch any of the Tobey Maguire films anymore. I'm like, so they start reefing the costume off, and I'm like, whoa, kids, what's that? I gotta go. Spider-Man phone is calling, like. And then they fucking follow me into the pub, like, and they're like reefing me, like, you know, and so I run into the jacks and like trying to close the cubicle door on their little fingers, you know, because they're just going to town on me, and I'm like, so anyway, so I hide in the cubicle and they lock it, like, and they're all in there like banging the door like Fat Spider-Man, Fat Spider-Man, and then the bartender runs in, he's like, grr, grr, you know, and he fucking saves my life basically. So anyway, he clears out all the kids. They all go back drinking in the pub. I don't know what they do. So I like get off the costume. I like put it on the bag. It's like covered. And like by this stage, I've just like totally like stripped off the costume, so it's completely covered in piss at this stage. So I've got a big bag of piss, and I walk out, and there was a mother there apparently. I don't know if it was her, watching the whole thing unfold in the corner, and she was like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, yeah, what was that? She was like, no, like, that's a fucking disgrace. Like, you come in here with a shitty costume. And she started absolutely berating, which is fair because she paid for a service, which I definitely didn't get. And she was like, I'm after paying you 100 quid. I was like, 100 quid? I'm going to get 25, bitch. I was like, someone's ripping me off here. So she absolutely berates me, like, you know. So I just I'm like, look, I don't know what's going on, but someone was meant to be Spider-Man. And they didn't show up, so I'm literally just covering. And then, in fairness, she was like super cool, and she was like, "I'm gonna give out to it." So anyway, so I pack up my piss and I leave, like, and then I ring Shannon, and I'm like, "Man, that was a rough party." She's like, "What happened?" I was like, "The kids started beating me," and she was like, "Oh yeah, did you get paid or?" Like as if it happens every day. She was like, yeah, Olaf got threatened with a knife there last week, you know? It's like, fuck yeah.
And did you?
No, I did get paid. It was grand. She sorted me out. Definitely not more than it. But I'd say I was in the venue maybe max 5 minutes.
Oh
But
my
it felt like an
god.
eternity. Yeah. I don't know, it's a very short story, but...
I know it's harrowing to recount, but it's very
I could
funny
go
to
into more
hear.
detail, but I just want to leave it behind. This is kind of therapy for me. Just like...
Just get it off your chest.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing about podcasts, isn't it? It's just like free therapy.
Yeah, so that was the beginning and the end of your costumed escapades, I guess.
Most definitely. Never did it again, unfortunately. Even though the money's great.
Well, if you got paid €25 for 5 minutes, not that bad.
It's not bad, actually. Yeah, not too bad.
Although the punch in the balls,
So
not
painful.
great.
Every time I see that pub, I wince. Not gonna lie. I see it quite regularly. It just brings back those horrible, horrible memories. Yeah.
Did you at least get a good stand-up set out of it?
I got one, yeah.
Did it go well?
Yeah, it went well, it went alright. And the next, no. See, my problem is, especially when it comes to like anything like music or stand-up, I can't do the same thing twice. So, like...
And yet, here you are telling
the same story. Well, it's been 4 years since I told it, Claire.
I'm only busting your balls.
Yeah, Dublin Stories.
Sorry
check
for-
it out. I say it way better.
Triggered.
Yeah. Turn off this podcast. Check it out on the Dublin Stories line. Claire.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story.
Thank you very much. Is this it done?
Well, unless you have another story you'd like to tell.
Yeah, most definitely. I have loads of stories.
Go for it.
I recently did a label launch party
Okay.
there on Thursday. How long is this podcast?
As long as you want it to be.
Oh, happy days. Oh. Wait, does it just have to be story? Can't we just
It's
chat?
called story time.
Oh, is it? I thought it was called the Blues Clues with Clisare or something. What was it?
So we could just chat, but yeah, it's story based.
Oh, okay, sorry, you're gonna add all this out. That's fine. No, I recently had my label launch party there on Thursday. It was. You okay?
I just like to double check it's still. I get anxious about the recording, so I like to double check every now and again. Just ignore me.
How long was I talking there for? Because it felt like
We're on 20 minutes.
That's all.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is rough. This is like that fucking party.
Apologies, I've just had to steal Donal's camera for the end.
This is a disgrace.
If
This is a disgrace. I'm waving my arms in anger, but nobody can see. This is a joke.
If you did listen on the audio platforms, please give us a review. It really helps us out in the rankings. And I shall see you in the next one.
I shall see you
Bye.
again too, because I'm taking over. I'm taking over the podcast. Claire is no more. It's only, what's it? Clisare, so Donal Air. Disair. It's only Disair from now on, the Disair podcast. Anyway, sorry. I've had a lot of coffee.
I was just about to be like, I wonder if I just leave the camera on for how long will it...
I'm TikToking everybody.
Oh, that's actually, there's the bit I'll put on TikTok. Thank you very much.
There you go. You can put me with those ladies. You know, TikTok's the worst. Sorry, it's the total worst. It's the damnation of our society and our civilization. Anyway, that's all I'm saying.
So long.
This podcast was brought to you by The Shift. For more like this, check out theshift.ie.